I'm going to start with a poem from this book that I love called Courtesans of Flounder Hill by Ishmael Hope, who's a friend of mine, a poet from Alaska. This just came out from Ishmael Reed Publishing Company, and it's a poem that I love a lot, called Storyteller. So many songs came to me as I was falling asleep, and so many times I let them go, the urge to rest stronger than the urge to speak. But when you wake in the morning before the dreams fade, save a place for me. So many heartbreaks passed me by, many times I didn't live them, their ghosts are everywhere. I opened my hands for the rain that came by, that's sure to come again. But when you travel to faraway places, hiking to the mountaintops, your legs barely holding you up, and dark blue birds lift you in their beaks, save a place for me. So many false rests passed me by. I arrived at the ocean and I couldn't smell the salt water, but when you invite guests into your home and the garlic and the herbs melt the room and everyone's faces are lost to the music, save a place for me. So many good people came by, I kept a part of them in my palms. Old men and women are standing up, holding the islands between the worlds. They are standing up, spreading medicine leaves to the wind. And when you take off your skin and lay your belly in the sand, save a place for me. So that's Storyteller by not my poem, Ishmael's poem. So, it's nice and warm and gorgeous up here. What a day. It's an awesome day. Okay, I'm going to read a poem in 7 parts for a friend of mine named Jennifer. The poem's called Fireweed. 1, it was dawn, there were thrushes up and down the path, moss gathering the light, gathering the rain, and the men hauling in their nets, the nets filled with silver coins, jewels, oil, and abundance. There was the frost waiting in the mountaintops, and we wanted to show you all the crystals that stood underneath the needles waiting. They were waiting for you to notice them and take them in hand. 2, how long had you been gazing west? How many afternoons? Did you see his face? Did you want to touch his face? Was he waiting? Did you ask him to bring you? Did you request your own canoe? How neatly it cuts through the channel. Were you hopeful? Did you ask? Were we wrong about everything? Were we? 3, everything waking up now as it always does. Fern, hillock, hummock, root wad, tide pool, and a hairline fracture where the light crawls along, and the spines, and the moss after nightfall, and the faces of the women lining the riverbed, holding out their baskets, one by one. They step up to the trunk where the water shines, and the tiny root hairs reach into the cold, invisible like nerves. 4, nothing could hold the salt, nothing could capture the paint, nothing could hold the wind, nothing could cover the stones. 5, did he say it? Did he touch you? Did he call? Was he there? Did you believe him? Was there smoke? Were there rattles? Were there teeth? Did you ask? Did the blanket hide you? Did the wind spill through the channel? Did the ice feel right? Were there matches? Were there needles? Could we have spoken better? Could we have held you tighter? Could the light have traveled any more quickly into your heart? Thank you. 6, afterwards, we could see him traveling through the village. We didn't want to see him. We didn't want to see. But he just kept limping along there, and sometimes he stopped at the window and we closed the blinds. And he tapped with a fingernail, a mussel shell, a piece of fish, a cup of oil, a twisted bone, a hunk of wood, an ivory goose, a thorny grin, and we opened the window after all. 7, there were the baskets and bowls and blankets, and your daughter carried the nets, and the nets kept filling up. We couldn't stop them. Her wrists adorned with silver and garnet. And when we gathered at the roadside, there was light, there was ice and rain. There was the sound of the ice touching down onto the earth. And there were the thrushes, there were the songs all along the path, and there was your voice twisted into the woven leaves. We were sure of it. Okay. Thank you. All right, I just had a little chapbook come out. It's just so nice to be here. Poetry lovers, this is the best ever. I had a little chapbook come out called Peregrine, so I'll read one from this and then, well.
I just felt like, because you were doing 7,
Oh.
we weren't laughing.
It was a 7 long poem. So yeah, I just had this little book come out called Peregrine, and it makes me really happy, a little chapbook. And so this is sort of a list poem that I call The Mechanics, a poem about addiction for my friends Tony and Dustin, called The Mechanics. In the bottom of the bag, in the glass, in the bottle, in the starlight, in the smallest constellation, in the soft gills, in the underside of the frond, in the hank of black beads, in the melody rising from the meadow, folded and coming up again, amphibious purling throat, in the screw gun, in the wrench, in the satellite over the beach, spokes of the wheel and flat screen, in the sand sliding under us, in the sand falling over us, fine as flour, in the paw print and arrowhead at the end of the lane, in the foxglove, in the circle of dust, in the object at rest, in the shade, in the surf, in the vector traveling north, a kitchen table, a blue cloth in cypress green as jade, in the pivot, and the radius, and the smoke rolling down, and the centipede, the iridescent sensation of all its legs, in the tent pitched in a bright meadow, in the breeze, in the firelight that warmed us, orange and red, in momentum, in the moth head, in the death head, in the talons of the owl, in the folds of cloth where we found it, where we left it, lying in its finery, in its wrecked wings.